All right, so moving on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my thoughts on Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic being announced for a fight that will be coming very soon in this world of MMA inside the UFC organization. So on November 11th last week, Dana White announced on November 11th in Madison Square Garden, Jon Jones will defend his UFC heavyweight championship against Stipe Miocic. And that's going to be an unprecedented fight. I'm looking forward to this one. Another big fight that Dana White and the UFC have put together to close out the calendar year 2023. You have the GOAT of UFC, in my opinion, Jon Jones, versus one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, and Stipe, with huge championship implications with the heavyweight championship being on the line. So I expect this to be a big fight in the UFC, and I think it's going to be absolute fireworks come November 11th in Madison Square Garden. But we have to have some interesting routes to get to this fight. Jon Jones took a 3-year layoff. He was unseen, unheard of for quite some time in the UFC. He came back off a 3-year layoff. Came back earlier this year in the beginning months, January, February, winter time. But he won he came back in a styling fashion. He won the vacant heavyweight championship by beating Ciryl Gane to get back on top of the mountain and reclaim his throne in the UFC. So it's great to see Jon Jones back. That's how he's routed himself to get to this big heavyweight championship fight. And then the last time we saw a Stipe fight was at UFC 260 in 2021, where he was the reigning defending heavyweight champion until he lost his belt that night at UFC 260 against Francis Ngannou and lost the heavyweight championship. So now we are seeing Jon Jones and Stipe get in the octagon together for a dream fight. This is a fight that both fighters have wanted for quite some time now, and they're finally going to get it on in Madison Square Garden. I do expect this to be an absolute banger. I don't think both men are going to hold back. This is basically proving grounds to prove who's the best heavyweight and who's going to be the baddest man on the planet come November 11th at Madison Square Garden. So I'm looking forward to that fight. Those are my thoughts on that announcement being announced by Dana White last Friday.